Good afternoon, Tim. How are you?
Good. How are you doing, Chris?
Busy but good. Thanks for joining me today.
Sure.
So I see Renee is joining us as well.
I'm not sure if she's on yet, but I'm hoping she will.
Yeah, we'll wait for her. So it's nice to meet you. So how's your week going so far?
It's good. I just got back from PTO last week, so I'm just trying to catch up with everything.
Oh, nice. And then you got the Memorial Day weekend coming up as well.
Right. Just a little more running around there.
Got anything planned this weekend?
We have a wedding to go to, so
nice.
It's kind of a couple hours away, kind of in the middle of nowhere. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
You have anything going?
No, it's my birthday this weekend. I'm turning 42.
Oh, well, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Doing some celebrating, hopefully.
Yeah, just celebrating with friends and close family and just, hanging out locally, saving the vacation for later in the summer, got some trips planned for later in the year. So
yeah, that's good. Now are you based out of Florida? So
we're based out of Boca Raton, Florida. Yeah, that's why it looks like the beach behind me.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
So you guys over there in Pennsylvania, right?
We're in Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a good friend that lives in that area, and I went to go see him a couple of years ago, and we got an Airbnb out of the Poconos.
Okay.
It was nice up there. It was like right around like after Christmas, right before New Year's. So this was before the pandemic hit, so we were able to enjoy some good skiing up there. It's nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna send a message to Renee here to see if she will be.
Sure.
It's 2:30 call.
Well, I think she's coming on now.
Oh, there she is.
Hi, Renee. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Nice to meet you. I'm Chris Rodriguez.
Nice to meet you.
Yep. So thanks for joining us. I understand that you are a financial services manager at Wesco. Is that correct?
That's accurate. Yep.
Okay. So just before we get into it, I just want to hear from you and Tim. Just kind of give me like a brief overview of your credit process there at Wesco Distribution and kind of what tools you're using in your credit approval process and how that's looking in the workflow.
And I guess, Renee, before I'll have you give some of that, but just to give you some background, because we haven't had a chance to catch up, Chris.
Oh, sure.
Just to catch up with Renee. So I'll be brutally honest, Chris and Renee. I think Chris caught me at a weak moment. I picked up the phone when I thought it was a spam call coming in, or I thought it was a call coming in from one of our businesses down in Florida. I was questioning, is it spam or not? And whenever Chris started talking. I'm like, you know what? It's another vendor calling with trying to sell something. But as he started talking and talked about, you know, the risk management tool that they have or the credit tool that they have, and I mentioned what we're doing with HighRadius, and he was saying, hey, this is a free tool that would give us some visibility to credit information out there. So, and I think you mentioned, Chris, that you are a partner with HighRadius.
Yes.
Okay, you know what? We'll take a half hour and I'll pull Renee in and we'll see what you've got just so that we understand what's out there. Go from there. I do have a up at 3 o'clock. But, you know, and I may have mentioned this to you whenever we spoke last week, that we are going through an implementation with HighRadius. We have HighRadius application in for part of our business. We're implementing it for additional parts of our business. You know, the main portion of that is our Annixter business that we acquired last summer. So, you know, we're doing that for Cash App, and I'm running that piece of it with HighRadius, and then we're also going to be implementing the credit and collections portions of HighRadius, and Renee is running that portion of it. So I think we're kind of going through some of that design stuff now, and you know, if there's a time to look at it, it's probably now. But that's probably enough of the background.
Okay, awesome.
And then, Renee, do you want to maybe help Chris out with like our credit area looks like now and what we're using now?
I mean, as far as like reporting agencies or like the workflow management, or what do you mean?
Yes, what tools are you using? What sources for pulling credit reports? You know, how efficient or any areas of improvement that you see that you need, any lack of coverage? Just kind of give me your overall kind of 3,000-foot view of your credit process.
Yeah, so we're a very diverse company with a lot of acquisitions along the way, which means that we have contracts and access to a very large number of credit reporting agencies, including like D&B, Experian, Credit Risk Monitor, I think Credit.net. We're using CLR and Equifax in Canada. We have also contracts with NACM, where we are pulling some credit reports through them, both through other third-party providers and the direct NACM reports. So we have a very varied way that we're reaching out and pulling this bureau data and things like that. So we do have parts of the business that are predominantly using one or the other. And we're looking now, I believe, to segment our credit reporting based on our customer and not on our origin business on our end, right? So we're looking at how much is the spend with this customer? What do we think their risk profile is off the face value? And then from there, assigning that to a different reporting agency based on the value. So for example, we've got a large publicly traded company. We're clearly going to go to Credit Risk Monitor for those because we have unlimited pulls from them, only a certain number of licenses, and there's only a few people who are doing those like high level reviews. For our everyday mom and pop customers where we're going to have a significant sales volume, obviously we're going to go to, well, not obviously, but right now what we do is go to Credit Risk Monitor or to, oh, sorry, I wasn't petting him enough. We'll go to, you know, D&B or Experian in those types of situations. And we're also looking for more of a fraud type check or a, you know, severe delinquency type check. And I know that there are agencies such as Credit.net or those types of areas that are going to handle those very low dollar transactions, where we're simply trying to minimize our fraud risk because we feel like the revenue amount is not necessarily worth the investment on credit reporting from a more robust report.
Okay. So it sounds like you're using a lot of different providers. So you see the value in using multiple sources for pulling your credit data, everything from D&B, Experian, Credit Risk Monitor, Equifax, NACM. Now, speaking of Credit Risk Monitor, are you guys currently sharing your AR information with them on?
We do, yeah. We're a trade contributor to, I believe, 6 different credit agencies.
Okay.
So we do send our trade tape to a number of NACM chapters, to DNB, to Experian, and to Credit Risk Monitor.
Okay, great. Excellent.
Is that for all of our businesses or just a portion of it, Renee? I thought.
You know what? And so there is segmentation there. So we're working now to figure out how we can be trade contributors over the whole of the business. But for example, that's Oracle EBS. So like our big Wesco legacy side, we have a lot of, we're doing that for all 6 of those. But I do believe that Scott's looking into how do we do this globally, right? And that's also part of our work that we're doing with High Radius, because we're trying to pool all of our AR into the High Radius product. And then of course it's an umbrella, so it sits on top of all of our current ERPs. We don't currently have a plan to unify our ERPs across the system. So a layover tool is really, the best option for us. But whenever we're able to normalize the data through High Radius that's coming in from the ERPs, we would be able to much easier match fields to be a trade contributor for a larger number of agencies out of one single API.
Excellent. Well, as Tim had mentioned earlier, he had informed me when I called him that you guys are currently in the process of an ERP upgrade to High Radius. And I also mentioned him that Cortera is a partner with High Radius. So we have a standing API, a freestanding API. So we literally have quite a few customers already that are utilizing High Radius and Cortera's freestanding API connection. So that can be easily integrated into your High Radius upgrade for your ERP system. So we are highly compatible with them, and we can have that running with no time at all to spare, and it'll be a very seamless integration and process for us. So that's a very significant strategic relationship that we both have with High Radius.
One thing that you had mentioned, Chris, was, hey, this doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost us anything. And I looked at your website a little bit, and I saw the Pulse thing says it doesn't cost anything, but then there are some other things that look like there are some fees for. But something, the API going into High Radius, is that something that we are paying for, or are you able to give that free because we provide trade information?
Very good question. Yes. So the API itself is free, but whatever data you extract from Cortera, that's charged on a per record basis, depending on how much information you want to pull from our credit bureau. So before we get into the intricacies of the pricing on that particular data points, I'll just give you kind of a brief overview of what's free, and then I'll go over the paid portion. And then if you see additional value, then we can discuss how you guys can take advantage of that. How's that sound?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay, great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with both of you so you can kind of get a walk through the platform. So let me go ahead and do that right now. Okay, so you guys can see my screen? Okay, great. Yep. So this is the Cortera website, the homepage. So this is basically where you and any member of your team would go to access our credit and risk mitigation platform, Pulse. So all you need is a computer and an internet connection. So we work very well with remote teams. It looks like you're working remote, Renee, is that correct?
Yeah, I don't have a cat on my lap in my office. So.
Yeah, I know you could tell I'm working remote too. I'm on the beach here. No,
vacation, yeah.
Yeah, I could take the background out, but you see my my living room. But yeah, I'm working remote. So we've been working remote since this whole thing started last year, and we probably will be working remote for quite some time. But we work very well with remote teams. All you need is a computer and internet access, and anyone on your team can have access to our platform. So we can easily integrate into your current workflow. But this is the home page, and just to give you a brief brief overview of Cortera. Cortera has been around for over 25 years. We have built over the last 25 years the largest contributory trade data network in North America. We have roughly at present over 36 million unique business locations being reported on, consisting of over $1.7 trillion in annual B2B transactions. And that's over 45 different industry verticals. So we have the largest and most diverse trade data network in the country, and that's US and Canada combined. So that's why, as you can see here, we were recently acquired by Moody's Analytics because of the large scope and size of our database. And what that can mean for you as a member is that basically, as you know, Moody's is a large global presence in the world of credit analytics and risk assessment. So we just basically have a larger resource and a large international company that is backing us up as our parent corporation. So with that being said, let's go right into the platform. So when you and your team there at Wesco Distribution joins the Cortera network, and there's absolutely no cost to join, there's no subscription fees, no setup fees. All you have to do to join at no cost is submit your monthly trade tape, the same trade tape that you're submitting to the 6 different agencies at present. You send us the same file, and you can send it for the entire corporation. So I know, Tim, you had mentioned you guys have about roughly 70,000 customers. Is that correct?
I think you asked how many do we invoice in a month. It's probably, that was a rough guess. So
okay,
it's
well,
at least
whether it's 70,000 or 100,000, you know, it's unlimited. So we will monitor each and every single one of your customers on a daily basis across these 6 key factors for risk. So when you submit that trade tape to Cortera, we will go ahead and upload your customers into our database, and you'll get a customized dashboard that will look like this. So what we do here is any significant changes in any of these 6 categories of risk, we will notify you on this dashboard. So if there's, for example, any change in risk of default or payment and credit risk, you'll be notified. This is predictive in its analysis. It looks at the next 12 months of payments, whether there's severe risk of delinquency. Overall payments, this actually looks back over the recent 3 months on how these companies are paying their vendors and suppliers overall. Peer payments, this is very unique amongst Cortera members. We show you how your customers are paying other companies like Wesco Distribution. So as you know, every industry gets treated differently. Some get paid faster than others. So having that unique perspective on how you're going to get paid relative to others in your industry gives you some more unique insight into your customers' payment behavior. Bankruptcies and court filings. Cortera has a direct link to Pacer. So we get all bankruptcies, tax liens, civil suits, and judgments in real time. I know you had mentioned to me, Renee, that you are primarily focused on an overall fraud risk assessment on your customers. Is that your primary focus, correct?
I wouldn't say that that's primary focus, but I will say that's the primary focus for very small dollar transactions.
Okay.
So we're not as much worried about credit worthiness, right? Like we're willing to forego perhaps additional credit review for a customer who's going to buy from us $1,000 one time, right? But we do have some fraud risk and monitoring in those transactions, even cash in advance transactions.
Mhm.
So that's why for those low dollar, we're looking at just basically a fraud check, as long as there's no derogatory, no frog flags. You know what I mean? So,
Absolutely, yeah.
but for our larger dollar transactions, we're looking at much more, and our larger value customers, which is the bulk of the business, we were looking at a lot more, but we're looking at ways to minimize our fees for very low dollar transactions.
Absolutely. So this monitoring will kind of help reduce that cost for those low dollar transactions. So if there's any significant public records or fraud alerts, that'll be listed here on your dashboard. And that's also covered under this unique alert, news alerts. So Cortera combs the web on over 12,000 different news media outlets, right down to the local level, reporting on those small privately held corporations, those mom and pops, those sole proprietorships that Dun & Bradstreet and Experian lack coverage on. Cortera goes right down and reports on those on the local level as well. And
Which
all of
given,
your-
is that something that's become a bit new with the acquisition for Moody's, or is that something you've always done?
That's something we've always done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing you want to know about Cortera is even before Moody's, we were fast growing and exponentially increasing the size of our database, especially amongst the small to mid-sized privately held companies, because the simple fact that, you know, small mom and pops and sole proprietorships, they can't afford D&B or Experian, and D&B is just kind of been not very user friendly and lacking in innovation. So those small corporations, those mom and pops, those private companies tend to stray away from Dun and Bradstreet. But when Cortera comes to them as an option, especially being at no to little cost, they will join Cortera and share exclusively with Cortera as opposed to D&B. That's why we have some of the largest coverage on those small to mid-sized private companies, because of the simple fact that we are easy to use, we are extremely low to no cost, and it's very, very attractive for those smaller companies. And that's why we have some exclusivity on those smaller companies as far as data is concerned. And
Okay.
all of your alerts are summarized on this dashboard here, which can be customized and prioritized to meet any specific search criteria. And they are as recent as today and as old as the last 30 days. And as I said, we'll monitor an unlimited number of customers in your portfolio, and you'll have an unlimited number of users to be able to access this platform. Now, in addition to the monitoring your current customers, we have this separate Watch Plus tab where we will monitor on a daily basis any future potential customers, suppliers or vendors, or even competitors. So you can add those to your daily watch and alerts as well. So that's the
So if
alert.
we have like, I guess I'm thinking in my practical life here, we do a lot of lean management, right? And like LAE and like liens. Whereas we would want to watch a general contractor, or we would want to watch someone in the contractual chain that isn't necessarily our customer. So that's where we would possibly add something to a watch list. Yeah.
Yep, that's in addition to your
Cool.
existing customer file, and it is unlimited as well. So that's just an added benefit as well to your monitoring of your existing customers. Now, to help streamline and automate the process, you're going to get a single daily email alert summary that looks like this. So you don't have to constantly log into the online dashboard to check on any significant changes in risk. So for example, if you set certain criteria, you can get notified if there's a drop in credit score, if they're paying other companies like yours more slowly, if there's any bankruptcies or other court filings or any fraud alerts, any news alerts. You'll get those alerts automatically on a daily basis. It just takes a few minutes a day to read. If you want to do some further investigating, you just click this view tab. It'll take you back to the online dashboard, and you can pull a credit report if you so desire. See how that works? And that's part of the free complimentary service. And then the next thing you guys are going to get on a monthly basis is our CFO report. And basically what this does is this will provide you with key metrics on your entire accounts receivables portfolio. So you want to get like that 30,000 foot view for the C-suite. This is what you'd present in your month-end reporting or what have you. So you have your aging buckets in this section here. You have the risk distribution of your customer base, stacked ranked according to level of risk and credit score. In this section is your portfolio risk profile. What we do for you guys here is we put your customers into color-coded boxes, numbered 1 through 6, depending on level of risk, color-coded red to green like a traffic signal for ease of reference. Key trends in your portfolio are displayed in this graph here. Here's your top 10 account balances and summary of alerts. And the second page is your highest risk accounts. These are your problem children. These are the companies in your portfolio that are on a high risk of default and decline. They've got declining payment rating scores, dropping credit scores. You might want to keep a watchful eye on these customers here. On the last page of the CFO report is your high collectability accounts. This is basically your low-hanging fruit. These are the customers in your portfolio that are paying other companies like yours faster than they're paying you. So you can basically use this page as a reference in your collections efforts to help reduce the DSO, or days sales outstanding, on some of these balances. So basically you can get paid faster on these customers here. See how that works?
So I do see how that works. So my quick question is, if you're integrating with High Radius in this situation, would you be able to provide these alerts to High Radius, in which case they could create a task for a collector, right, based on those alerts in order to have them do a portfolio review?
Absolutely. Yep. We are perfectly capable of doing that, and we've done that before.
Okay.
So this just kind of helps automate and make the process much more efficient for you guys. And that's, like I said, just the benefit of being a Cortera member and submitting your trade to us. Now I'm going to get into the paid portion. I know, Tim, you've been anticipating this. So this is basically how the credit report reporting works. So let's just say you want to pull a credit report on a new customer. All you have to do is type in the name of the company at the top in the search bar, like you're searching on Google. City and state are the only other key data elements that we need to typically drive down. We're going to use Cargill as an example here because Cargill is one of the largest privately held corporations in North America, privately held, and they're also a member of our trade data network. They gave us permission to use a report, and they have basically a nice little kind of gives you full features of the report on their report. So I'm going to click on.
They're also one of our customers, so great.
Oh,
I mean, I think they're probably one of many people's customers.
Yeah. But their report is very robust, so it'll give you a nice catalog view of the benefits in the report. So you click Buy Report, and this is the same way that the API would extract the data. So you go ahead and click on Buy Report, and now the reports range in cost anywhere from $2.50 for a single page flash report, all the way to $6 for a multiple page deep dive report. And we've also incorporated the same $6 price with a deep dive and an instant credit decision. Now, this credit decision can be based on a credit scorecard that you can customize to meet your own specific criteria. But we'll go ahead and use the default scorecard as an example here. You click Buy Report. While the report is being generated, you're going to get an instant approved, pending, or denied decision window pop up here. It'll show you the scorecard details with the variables we pulled directly from the report and a recommended aggressive or conservative credit limit based on a percentage of this company's highest balance. See how that works?
Mm-hmm.
And this all can be extracted via API with High Radius.
Okay.
Here's the report and what you get on the report. As you can see, it has all the vital information on the first page. The first page of this report is the $2.50 flash report. So you see here, you get all the vital information at a glance. You get the ultimate parent, or who owns this corporation and where they're located. You have our risk behavior scorecard with our Cortera score. This is our credit score. It's kind of similar to a consumer FICO score, except it's a 100 to 900 scale, 100 being the worst, 900 being the best, on whether there's severe risk of payment delinquency in the next 12 months. So you see Cargill's an 880 out of 900. There's a very low risk of payment delinquency. The next score is our payment rating score, or CPR score. This is kind of similar to the Paydex score on a DNB report. Looks back over the last 3 months on how they're paying their vendors and suppliers. Once again, it's a 100 to 900 scale. Cargill's a 682 out of 900. That's a little above average. They have about a 6 days past due balance. Payment risk segment score, that's that score I showed you on the CFO report. Industry benchmark, that gives you an idea of how fast they're paying relative to others in their industry. Looks like they're paying faster than others in their same industry, about 5.7 versus an industry average of almost 8 days past due. Spending growth index. This gives you an idea of how they're spending their money. Are they on a growth trend? Are they stagnant in their spend? Are they declining? And that's all represented under here, under buying behavior. So what we do here is we take all of the total known spend being reported on Cargill, and we separate it into 3 major categories: materials, operations, and shipping. Now, why do those matter the most in a credit report? Well, it gives you an overall macro view on whether this company is a potential credit risk or not, based on the spend and trend. If you look at an example like Toys R Us, the retailer that filed Chapter 11 bankruptcy a few years ago, kind of caught a bunch of people by surprise. And the reason why is in the months leading up to the bankruptcy, Toys R Us operation spend was relatively unchanged, but their materials and shipping spend relative to operations were on a rapid descent. So those were red flag indicators to members of Cortera that had it on their alerts and reports that Toys R Us wasn't purchasing more materials or products. They weren't shipping those products to customers. They weren't generating any additional revenue, and they were burning through cash in operations. So members of the Cortera network that had this information on the reports and the alerts were able to be more proactive in mitigating that risk, whereas other companies had no idea this was going on, were more reactive and had to deal with the closure of stores, the Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and trying to collect on those outstanding balances.
Hey, Chris, I've got to run because I got to start a meeting at 3 o'clock.
Sure.
Quick question, that link ID, are you using like a DUNS number, or what are you using to link customers, like our customers, to add them into your database?
Yeah, our link ID is our own unique identification system,
Okay.
similar to the DUNS number, but this is proprietary to Cortera.
Got it. Okay. And I've got to run, but Renee, you're welcome to stay.
I've actually got to run too, Chris, but like love all this. So can we set up some more time and go over this a little bit more? Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Thanks. I got to run, guys. See ya.
Yep.
Thanks,
Okay.
Tim.
Yeah, and same here too, Chris. So do you want to, I mean, just, can you, you've got my email, can you recommend a couple of times, and or maybe I can do the same with Tim, see what it is open on his calendar, because this is really interesting to me, especially with some of the products that we're paying a lot of money for right now that do this sort of thing. And we're looking to pare down and streamline some of our credit reporting, and especially our high risk alerts, because we pay a lot of money for those right now. And we are finding that our quality of data is sometimes a little bit of it, maybe isn't always the best. So yeah, let's set up some time to discuss a little bit further. And I'm absolutely interested in all of this, because even looking at your current pricing for what we would spend on low dollar transactions to do a flash report and some other thing, like I see a lot of value add. So yeah, let me know. And then I think the other thing I'd want to really discuss when we move into our next review is just the quality of your data as it compares to other like big name credit agencies, right? Like how many trade contributors in comparison to our other Experian, D&B, these kinds of guys. What are we looking at as far as like how can we trust your data in comparison?
Well, we'd be glad to do what's called a hit rate and ROI analysis report, or launch monitor report. All you have to do is send me any file that's at least 1,000 records or more, or you can send your entire portfolio. It doesn't matter. I just need customer names and addresses. I don't need aging, but just send that to me in a CSV or Excel format, and I'll run it through our database, and I'll show you what percentage are match records and how many have credit scores, payment rating scores. I'll show you the risk distribution amongst those customers. And then based on the last 12 months of alerts, and that'll be summarized here, we'll give you an estimated identified risk with an exact dollar amount or return on investment.
Okay, cool. Do you have an NDA that you use generally? Yeah, can you send that over to me so I can get that reviewed and get you those files back?
Sure, no worries. I'll send that over to you right away. And how soon did you and Tim want to meet again, just so that I can get it on the calendar?
I'd say week after next. Next week's a short week. It's going to be hard to cram everything in. So if we can do week after next, that would be great.
Okay. So
if I have some questions for you in the meantime, I might just give you a buzz.
Okay, so how about just just to keep it simple, how about week after next around this same time? Is that okay?
That should be, yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'll send you and Tim a calendar invite, and if you can accept it. If not, then just recommend a different time, and I'll
yep, for sure. Perfect. All right, great, Chris. We'll talk to you then.
Talk to you then.
Thanks for your time. Yep.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
All right, bye now.
Happy Memorial Day weekend.
Yeah, you too. Thanks. Bye.